Welcome back, everybody, for another Bleach 5e update video. Today, we're going to celebrate 23,000 views on the book. Thank you, everyone, for your continuous support on the book. Make sure that you guys are sharing the book around, or also liking this video and sharing it, and subscribing to the channel to stay up to date with these videos that I do, as well as the Bleach 5e Discord. On there, we talk about the book, get some advice on people on DMs that are running campaigns to get some help on that, as well as players trying to get new builds on what they want to do, or just talk about the book and maybe find others to play with. There's people making posts on there looking for other players. Hopefully schedules line up. So if you guys are interested in that, check that out as well. It's going to be linked below. Without further ado, let's just jump straight into the changes. So I'm going to remove my face here so we can get a better look at everything. Okay, right away here, this is the update. So, reworked bow attributes. Add a new bow attributes. New boons added to the book. Substitute Shinigami changed from feat to a boon, and of course, page numbers updated. So, though it seems like a little bit of stuff, it's actually quite huge. As if you are keeping up with the book, previously we reworked the Quincy class, gave it a nice little overhaul. So continuing with that trend, we're working our way to the bow attributes, and then in the next update, we should be getting to the feats and other options for the Quincy. So let's head on over and see how the bow attributes differ. Alrighty, so let's take a look and see what's the difference. So on the left is going to be the new one, and on the right, the old one. Now, normally I wouldn't rearrange the order from the left side. The new one should be on the right side, but with GM Binder in this part here that I can't really, as far as I know, I can't close it. It just makes it awkward, so it's better to be put on this side, unfortunately. So we're gonna be reading starting from this side, which feels awkward, and then we'll move on over. So old wording. At second level, you learn to unleash special magic effects with some of your arrows. When you gain this feature, you learn one bow attribute option of your choice. Once per turn, when you fire an arrow from your Halic Bogan as part of the attack action, you can apply one of your bow attribute options to that arrow, unless the option doesn't involve an attack roll or it has its own separate action. You must expend the listed number SP points listed under the bow attribute to use it. You learn additional bow attributes at 6th, 10th, 14th, and 18th level. Additionally, starting at level 10, you can select master shots. So, the problem with the bow attribute is by raw, rules as written, it doesn't work with the melee subclass. As you can see here as well, when it says you learn additional bow attributes, it doesn't specify how many, it just says you learn additional, which is kind of a problem. And then also what wasn't mentioned, master shots kind of got changed, which we'll go over just shortly. That's something I forgot to add to the changelog here, but it will be added once this video comes out. So that's the old wording. So let's see what the new wording is now. The fluff is the same, but when you gain this feature, you learn 2 bow attributes of your choice. Once per turn, when you take the attack action with your Halic Bogan, you can apply one of your bow attributes to that attack, unless otherwise specified. You must decide to use a bow attribute before you make the attack roll, unless the option doesn't involve an attack roll. You must expend the listed SP under the bow attribute to use it. You learn 2 additional bow attributes at 6, 10, 14, and 18th level. If a bow attribute requires a saving throw, the DC equals 8 plus your pro bonus plus your dex mod. So as you can see, it's a little bit more clear. It's when you take the attack action, as long as you're using your Halic Bogan, and it tells you when you need to decide to use it, how many you learn at additional levels, save DC, and yeah, I think it's a lot more clear that way from what I used to say, and it also plays better with the melee subclass as well. So then we have the master shot. So old school says at 10th level you learn more advanced effects. Let's see the Bogan. You may select master bow shots whenever you would gain a bow attribute. And then now it says you may select master shots whenever you would gain a bow attribute. You can only use master shots while ascended. So master shots are going to function like Bankai abilities for the Quincy. So you can pick them up, but you can only use those master shots while in your Volstand dig. I think this is going to help them. it allows me to make some master shots more powerful, um, but with this limit that they can only use it while in Volshantic. So at the moment, once we go through them, I don't think they're still don't think they're strong enough, but I think it's a good um, starting point now with this new little mini rework and buff for the class. That's the master shot there. So now we're gonna move on to the next update, which is the bow attributes changed. So right away, we're gonna see on the old one the bow attributes, and the new one, I don't know if you notice a difference in the name of the titles, which we'll go through that later on in this video. But first, we're going to focus on the new reworked abilities. So we got anticipating shots. Previously, used to be a master shot. Whenever a hostile creature uses jump or similar ability, at the end of the ability, if they're within your range of your Haley Bogan, as a reaction, you can make a single weapon attack against that creature. You may use racial manipulation with this attack when you reach 18th level. These are the old school stuff. This honestly didn't work anymore. I don't know. I just never got around to like changing it because I knew I was going to come back and rework the whole abilities, but this like honestly did nothing. Um, and honestly, being able to do more things at 18th level just feels like way too late as well. So got updated to it's now just a regular bow attribute. Whenever a creature uses special movement at the end of the movement, if they're within your Haley Bogan range, as a reaction, you can make a single weapon attack against that creature. While ascended, you make 2 weapon attacks against that creature instead of 1. So as you can see, before the better abilities are at 18th, now it's while you're ascended. So level 10, the soonest which you can get access to these additional benefits for some of these attributes, which it'll be a theme going through all of them. So special movement. This really isn't this is a word I've used to define all the special movements that the classes do, which is a high rank IQ, Shunpo, Sonido, Bringer Light. Those are all special movements. Some of them already have this wording saying special movement, but I don't think I've ever explicitly state anywhere or define special movement. But as you can see, when you go through, each one will say this is the special movement, so you know what it is. But it's basically like armaments, you know, Stomp Haley Bogan, like those are all armaments. It's just better vocabulary and generalize for abilities like this, make it easier to reference like, you know, those things within the book. So next up, we have a new arrow, Banishing Arrow. It's a master shot. Use abjuration magic to temporarily banish your target to a harmless location in the Valley of Screams. Creature hit doesn't take damage and instead must succeed on a charisma saving throw or be banished. While banished in this way, the target's speed is 0 and it is incapacitated. At the end of its next turn, the target reappears in the space it vacated or in the nearest unoccupied space if that space is occupied. While ascended, the target also takes 2d6 force damage. Next up is Beguiling Arrow. Your enchantment magic causes this arrow to temporarily beguile its target. When the creature is hit, instead of dealing damage, choose one of your allies within 30 feet of the target. The target must succeed on a Wiz saving throw, or it is charmed by the chosen ally until the start of your next turn. This effect ends early if the charmed target is attacked, dealt damage, or forced to make a saving throw. While ascended, this effect instead ends early if the chosen ally attacks the charmed target, deals damage to it, or forces it to make a saving throw. So these ones here, as we're gonna go through, some of them don't deal damage because I believe the ability that they do is powerful enough that you're either doing these things or you want to deal damage, one or the other. But as you can see with this one, while ascended, you can also deal additional damage. That's when you'll be able to deal damage. But some of these, when we go through them, you'll see that they won't deal damage just because I think these abilities are powerful enough that they don't need to be doing extra damage. However, if that doesn't seem to be the case, I will then add bonus damage to these. But at the moment, I think they are fine how they are. You guys let me know. Please test them out, try them out, and yeah, just let me know on the you can DM me directly or post it on the Leech 5e Discord. Moving on, we got Bursting Arrow, old one. You imbue your Haley Bogan with force energy. The energy detonates after attack. Immediately the creature targeting all other creatures in the 5e takes 2d6 force damage. Force damage 46 when you reach 18th level. I believe it's all the same thing. Detonates after the attack. Immediately after you hit the target. All the creatures within. Oh, I actually buffed it. Before it used to be 10 feet, which didn't feel that good. Now it's 30 feet. I think that should help add out. But we'll see. Maybe I have to up the damage. Before it was 2d6 46, but that's like super late. Now that it's earlier, it's 2d6 to 2d10. So if I do need to bump that up, let me know. I will make so accordingly, but it's one of the lower tier of abilities, so I think it's fine. Next up, new arrow, critical arrow. You score a critical hit on a roll of 18 or 20. While ascended, you score a critical hit on a roll of 17 through 20 instead. This is just if you want to try to crit. It's a little bit, I think, more powerful than these to increase your crit range, but not that strong. If I need to make this, on a roll of 17 to 20 and this like 16, I can do so. If this isn't strong enough or people aren't more, if this isn't worth picking up, so you guys let me know as well. Next up, we got curving arrow. So I don't think anything changed for this one. You learn how to direct your arrow toward a new target. When you make an attack and miss, you can use a bonus action to reroll the attack roll against a different target within 60 feet of the original target if you made a ranged attack, or a different target within 5 feet of the original target if you made a melee attack. So I believe it's all the same except the last one. Yep. Instead of 18th level advantage, it's while ascended you have advantage on the reroll. Next up is a new one, Dazing Arrow. SP cost 4. The creature hit must make a Constitution saving throw or suffer disadvantage on attacks until the end of their next turn. While ascended, if the target fails a Constitution saving throw, they also suffer disadvantage on saving throws for the duration. I think that's pretty neat for a new arrow. Next up, Deflecting Arrow. Used to be a master shot. You can use a reaction to deflect a melee weapon attack or a missile from a ranged weapon attack when you are hit. When you do so, the damage you take from the attack is reduced by your base damage, fixed mod, and plus Quincy level. Now, I believe it's fairly much the same thing, a little bit. Where do we really change it? It's basically the same thing, but now that it's not no longer a master shot, it has the while ascended extra ability. The damage is reduced by Haley Bogan. Your bow damage plus your dex mod plus double your Quincy level instead while ascended. Next up, a new one as well, Dispelling Arrow. You use Abjuration magic to try to temporarily suppress magic. The creature or object hit or magical effect within 10 feet of the hit target has any spell of 3rd level or lower on it to end. For each spell of 4th level or higher on the target, make an ability check using your spell casting ability. The DC equals 10 plus the spell's level. On a successful check, the spell ends. While ascended, any spell of 5th level or lower on the target ends instead of 3rd. So this is basically Dispel Magic, but in an arrow and worded a little awkwardly, but to better fit because you're needing to hit something instead of Dispel Magic where you just choose target. So that's the only difference and why some of the wording might be a little bit funky, but hopefully that makes enough sense for you guys to understand. If not, let me know. And then while ascended, instead of it being 3rd, it goes up to 5th level. So that's just to help it, buff it up. Next up, Disrupting Arrow. Used to be a master shot, but however, there's not really a lot of actual undead within this setting. I know there's some instances, spoiler alert, I know in the Yamamoto, his Bankai summons undead, and then we get zombified characters, so there at some point becomes a dead, which is a little weird because the souls, people in Soul Society are technically dead, but they're not undead, so it's the slight distinction. But so I didn't think it was good enough to be a master shot, so it got dumped all the way down to its lowest tier, since you're probably never gonna really have a chance to use this unless your DM is actually putting a lot of undead stuff in the campaign. However, let's go through it, which I believe everything is almost the same. Yeah, it's basically all the same. While ascended, the damage is increased to 36, and the target has disadvantage on the wisdom saving throw. When an undead fails its saving throw, the creature is instantly destroyed if its challenge rating is below your proficiency bonus. It's pretty low, so honestly, I feel like this doesn't really matter. And especially by 18th level, you're probably doing enough damage that you're just kind of killing it. So I feel like this was just just non-existent, irrelevant. Like, this is so dumb. Like, if you're at level 18 fighting something of CR 4 or 5, like you're probably killing it in your single attack action. So this was kind of just dumb, in my opinion. But here, while ascended, it's an increase of 36. So this kind of applies for any undead. This kind of really doesn't do anything. Moving on. We have an old one, I believe, before a new arrow added. So attacking at whoops, sorry about that. Attacking at long range doesn't impose disadvantage on your attack. If the hit creature is in your long range, it takes an additional 2d6 force damage. While ascended, the creature takes an additional 2d8 force damage instead. So it goes from 2d6 to 2d8. So this is just to help out, if you want to devise and help out builds that want to be kind of like a sniper build. So you're attacking from far away, but you're dodge sharpshooter, or you want to wait to the late levels before you pick it up in the Quincy class. This is just to help you out in the meantime. But when you're also in sharpshooter, this will also, help you deal even more damage if you want to stay at long range. That's what that's for. Next up, distracting arrow. You distract your foe, giving your allies an opening. The hit creature takes an additional 1d6 force damage, and the next attack roll against that target by an attacker other than you has an advantage if the attack is made before the start of your next turn. While ascended, the damage is increased to 2d6. So not a lot to talk about here, just to help, another ally make sure they land in a attack if it's very important. New one here, elemental arrow. You imbue your arrow with elemental power. Oh, that should be 4 costs. So, that'll be changed in just a moment. You imbue your arrow with elemental power. Choose one of the following damage types: acid, cold, fire, lightning, necrotic, poison, rain, or thunder. When you hit the creature, the damage you deal is changed to the chosen damage type, and the target takes an additional 1d6 damage of the chosen type. While ascended, the additional damage is increased to 2d6. So this is just to help out for, most Zobacto, they have access to different elemental types. The Quincy's don't really have that. So this elemental arrow is just to give them the ability to do that if they really are in a spot that they need to be dealing a specific type of damage. And it should be, like I said, 4 costs instead of 5. Which I'll do that in just a moment. And boom, there it is. Okay, let's move on to enfeebling arrow. So before, you weave necromantic magic into your attack. The creature hit takes an extra 2d6 necrotic damage. The target must also succeed on a Constitution saving throw, or the damage dealt by its weapon's attacks is halved until the start of your next turn. Necro damage increases to 46 when you reach 18. So basically the same thing, but it doesn't have the additional ability or the ascended ability because you can only use this while ascended and not anytime outside of that. So it doesn't, one of those abilities that are not going to have while ascended because you need to be ascended while in it. So that's the reason for that. Next up, grasping arrow. So before it used to be 3 costs, but as if you noticed, all the master shots cost 5 since those are the final tier of abilities. Anything that's like fairly good but not master shot is 4. Pretty decent stuff, 3, and then weakest arrows 2. But they should have more. These are usually more utility than the others. So grasping arrow, it's the same thing. 2d6, 2d6, 10, 10. The only thing is this got removed since, like I said, this is supposed to be like while ascended, which they're always ascended while on this ability. So nothing really changed on it. It's practically the same thing. Just that got changed up, and I believe maybe like some wording got rearranged, but it's the same ability. Clavier, this one, it's a 4 cost now, and it just got added the ascended. So the additional damage is increased to 2d6 from 1d6. So it used to be just an additional 2d6 flat. This got changed to 1d6 and then increased to 2d6, just to better incorporate it with the while ascended closet abilities. Next up is the Licht Reagan. So on here, before it was master shot, still a master shot, moved from 4 to 5 SP to match that as well. And the only thing that changed was the damage. It was 66 and a 10-foot radius, 60-foot high cylinder to 30-foot radius, 90-foot high cylinder of 86 force damage. So just better help out and buff it out, since it seemed like Licht Clavier was more, people were taking that more over Licked Reagan, and Licked Reagan is a master shot, so you should have a little bit more incentive to be picking up master shots over just regular bow abilities. So these would be a lot more stronger and got buffed up to hopefully match that. Next up, we have Piercing Arrow. So this was messed up alphabetically, which is weird, but it got fixed here. So Piercing Arrow, it's the same thing, but this got changed to 2d10 damage from when it used to be 2d8. Before it was also 1d6 and it got buffed to 2d8, but it's basically the same ability, just the damage got buffed and the Well Ascended got added. Pinning Arrow, same thing. It doesn't deal damage, and then this one, 18th level, affects targets that are size category larger. The target size category greater than large have the advantage attack are moved to Well Ascended. Targets that are a greater size category than large are affected. They don't get advantage anymore. They got buffed up quite a bit, but still not that powerful since it's supposed to be the lowest tier and mainly for utility. Next up, a new one, Precise Arrow. You gain a +2 bonus on your attack roll. If the attack hits, you add your wisdom modifier to the damage roll. While ascended, you deal an additional 2d6 force damage. Honestly, this is just a more of an FU to one of the really cringy, not cringy, but one of the poopier cantrips in D&D, which is True Strike. It's bad, but this is like a better version of it. So that's what this is for. And also just to help out if you really need to land an attack. Next up, Pushing Arrow. Same thing as what was it? Oops, Pinning Arrow, but you're pushing. So the same things got changed. While ascended, targets that are greater size category and large are affected. So same thing. Next up, Seeking Arrow. This one got quite a change. Old one. Using divination magic, you grant your arrow the ability to seek out a target. Choose one creature you have seen in the past minute. The arrow flies toward that creature, moving around corners if necessary and ignoring 3/4 cover and half cover. If the target is within range and there is a path large enough for the arrow to travel to the target must make a dex saving throw. Otherwise, the arrow disappears after traveling as far as it can. On a failed save, the target takes damage as if it were hit by the arrow, plus an extra 1d6 force damage. And you learn the target's current location. On a successful save, the target takes half as much damage and you don't learn its location. Force damage increases to 2d6 when you reach 18th level. New one, I think, is a lot more saucier. Using divination magic, you create an arrow with the ability to seek out a target. Choose one creature you have seen in the past minute. The arrow flies toward that creature, moving around corners if necessary and ignoring 3/4 cover and half cover. If the target is within range and there is a path large enough for the arrow to travel to the target must make a dexterity saving throw on a failed save, taking damage as if it hit by the attack, or half as much on a successful one. Otherwise, the arrow disappears after traveling as far as it can. On a failed save, you also always know the target's location for the duration, but only while the two of you are on the same plane of existence. While you have this knowledge, the target can't become hidden from you, and if it's invisible, it gains no benefit from that condition against you. While ascended, the duration is increased to 24 hours. I need to add the is. So what mainly is the big difference here is that you make an attack roll basically on them. Before it was just the arrow flies off and deals damage to somebody. So this way you can better apply like on hit things, and it's like you're making an attack. So that's what the change was really made for, as well as buffed up, and this last part really added to help with that. And then the While Ascended duration, of course, helps increase that. Next up is Shadow Arrow. Still a master shot. Weave illusion magic into attack, causing it to occlude your foe's vision. Take extra 2d6 second damage. Make a whiz save. If they fail, can't see farther than 5 feet away. This got changed to just slightly nerfed to 5 SP from 3, and you can only see from 10 feet away instead of 5. This is to help out characters because 5 feet is a little too rough. You're practically blind, so there's really no point of it being 5 feet. So that got changed just a little bit, so 10 feet away, so it doesn't feel that bad to get hit by these. And to really just not completely decimate your foe with them being blind. Next up, Soul Arrow. Before it was a master shot, though it wasn't properly the parentheses of it, but So it goes 5 SP. When you hit a creature, instead of dealing damage, the target temporarily loses its magic prowess. If the target has any spell slots, they lose 1d3 spell slots of the choice, as if they were expended. If the target has spell points, they lose 1d10 SP, as if they were expended. So this got changed to if the target has any spell slots, they lose 2d4 spell slots of the choice. And if they have SP, they lose 2d8 SP. This is just to buff it up to make it feel more of a master shot, as this wasn't really enough damage um, to the SP or spell slots for casters. So this got buffed up a little bit. Next up, Stepping Shot. Used to be a master shot, but honestly didn't perform as well. So this wasn't really being picked up, at least in my experience, since it takes up a master shot. So that got changed. So no longer a master shot. Same thing. Whenever you hit a creature with your Haley Bogan, you can immediately use high rank. Just to help you move around the battlefield a lot more. Tripping Arrow, same thing as pushing and the other arrows. Just got changed to while ascended, the targets that are a greater size category than larger are affected, and that's about it. So nothing really much there. Next up, Wounding Arrow. This is the same thing, except instead of 1d4, it got buffed up to 2d6 necrotic damage, and the DC save set number got removed since there's calculations for the DC save, so they could be higher than 15. That's about it. Other than that, it's the same thing. Now that we're done with that, I know you're looking at this here. That's what we're going to go to later on. As you can see, new section got added to the contents page. We got Boons. I don't think the thing works here because I haven't updated the pages just yet. Let's look at the Boons. So it's a little sparse at the moment, so I'm going to be filling it in as we go, but this is just the starting point for Boons. So within this book, there are new boons, as well as boons found within other sources, updated to better fit the theme of this setting. It's highly recommended to use the versions in this book. Generic boons. These boons have no requirements and are accessible to anyone that receives a boon. So as you can see, there's a difference between epic boons and regular boons. So there's generic boons, then there's specific Shinigami boons, specific Fullbringer boons, Quincy, and so on. But these are just generic boons. So the following boons from the Dungeon Master's Guides are considered generic boons. So these ones here, from the Dungeon Master Guides, these were classified as epic boons. However, they suck. These are not good for 20th level capstone things at all. Like you're supposed to be getting these like a level 20 or like they're supposed to be epic. You're supposed to get them at the very end of the game, like I don't know, 18 to 20, but usually 20. If you're getting these at level 20, these are so disrespectful. And if you watched the previous video that I did with Drew going over the boons and the Quincy class, and you'll notice when we go through it, we talk about some of these, and it's really bad. These suck. I mean, you can, if you have the Dungeon Master Guide, you can go there or just Google them. They suck as level 20 abilities. So hopefully these will be, the ones in this book will be better. But these ones, no longer considered epic boons. These are just regular generic boons. Next up, Shinigami boons. These boons can only be selected by characters with at least one level in the Shinigami class. Spelling error, fixing that on the spot. First one, Boon of the Kenpachi. There's only ever one instance of this boon, and for a creature to obtain it, they must slay the current holder in battle. Once a person slays the current Kenpachi, they obtain the title and this boon, gaining access to the following benefits. Your Zanpakuto base damage dice size is increased by 1 step. Once per long rest, on your turn, you can take an additional action. This action can only be used to take the attack action. When you make your first attack on your turn, you can decide to attack recklessly. Doing so gives you advantage on melee weapon attack rolls using strength during this turn, but attack rolls against you have advantage until your next turn. So this is just a starting point for the Boon of Kenpachi, brought to you by one of the patrons, Ben, also known as Speed Zombie. So if you guys really like this boon, give him a shout out in the comments and let him know if you like it and what you think about it. I think it's pretty good. Maybe things can be changed more, maybe more things can be added to it, but at the moment I like it and I'm leaving it as is. I believe the only thing that got changed was, I believe, just this part here. There was additional actions that you could take, but I just think it's, as a Kenpachi, as a fighter, you're only really going to take the attack action, honestly. So just to better make sure that they are being going full Kapachi, they're only attacking. So I believe that's the only change I made to the boon that he presented. But that's that. Next up, Boon of the Substitute Shinigami. Now this Substitute Shinigami used to be a background. However, it did limit your character creation options because being a Substitute Shinigami would eat up your background slot. So in the anime, if like, or previously, if you really wanted to rebuild Ichigo, then you would be, human. You would be background student. And then you would get the boon of Substitute Shinigami, and then your class would be Shinigami. However, you couldn't do that within the book because Substitute Shinigami was a background, so you couldn't be like student. So you didn't really have a background. It was Substitute Shinigami, which I don't think it honestly fit very well as a background. And I threw up a poll on the Discord, the Bleach 5e Discord, for people to let me know if they wanted it to be changed to Substitute Shinigami or keep it as a background. And everyone voted to change it to a boon so that background slot could be opened up. So this is also to let you know that there will be new backgrounds that will be added in the future, specifically student, to better fit, more RPG, anime options for people. I'm sure they would love to do that. Being a student and then getting Shinigami powers and trying to balance between the two and maybe have a campaign focused around that would be really cool. So I want to make that be an option. So that'll be added in the future. Next up, Quincy Boons. These boons can only be selected by characters with at least, man, I just cannot spoke right on these. Look at this. Goodness gracious. Can only be selected by characters with at least one level in the Quincy class. Boon of the Shrift. You have been bestowed a powerful ability by Yuha. You gain a shrift not possessed by another in the bow attributes and shrift section of this book, which we'll go over just a moment. Hollow boons, nothing right at the moment, and then Fullbringer boons, nothing at the moment, and then epic boons. These boons from the Dungeon Master guides that are epic boons are the only ones me and Ju actually considered to be epic boons, so they stayed epic boons. The rest, not really. So we leave that there. I'm sure maybe like Spell Mastery or Spell Recall, maybe we can get that changed to epic boon, but nah, I don't know. So at the moment, I'm gonna leave those out as they are. But these ones for sure are really good, and they are considered epic boons. And then more and new epic boons will be added to fill in, and then we'll go through and add more stuff to it. But that's it for the boons. And now, finally, we're gonna move on to Schrifts. Okay, so Schrifts here, as you can probably tell, here we have this small section. I don't know if I want to keep them in the bow attributes section or if I need to make a new specific section for Schrifts. I might have to in the future when they get better fleshed out, but this is the starting point for the Schrifts. So right away, canonically, these are powerful abilities granted to a Stern Raider by Yuha. These abilities have a letter given that corresponds to the appropriate epithet reflecting the nature of the person's ability. Quincy would need to perform the initial in-soul writing ritual and drink a cup of Yuha's blood. Through this ritual, Yuha writes the initial of the power he wishes to bestow on the selected Quincy's soul. The Almighty isn't on here because that's just, you can just write DM powers and that's it. And then you can call it a day. There's no good way to really write it out and it feel and do what the Almighty does without it being insanely overpowered. So I'm not even attempting to do that. If you guys want to attempt to do that, feel free to, but honestly, I don't think it's I think it's a waste of your time. Because you can just write, you get DM powers. That's it. But we're gonna go on to A, the antithesis. As an action, you expend 10 SP and target 2 creatures within 100 feet that you can see. You can choose one of the following effects. The 2 creatures swap current HP totals. The 2 creatures swap active spell effects. The 2 creatures swap cumulative equipment damage / penalties. If the 2 creatures that were selected as targets did not deal any damage to each other or target each other with a spell or effect, the creatures are allowed a Constitution saving throw. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a short or long rest. While in Volstande, you can expend 1 minute of its duration to use this Shrift an additional time. So, I will have a video series coming out with me and Ben as we're the ones working on the Schrifts. And in each video, we go over one of the Schrifts. So those are videos that they're going to be coming out soon if you want to get a good look at these Schrifts and the process that we go through making them. So at the moment, I just have A. I believe I have all the way up to F completed, but those are going to be put on my Patreon for early access to the patrons for them to read through and for us to balance together and make any changes or add any effects to them. So if you want to get access to those, head on over to my Patreon and you can get access to those at any tier. But the rest of those Schrifts will be added to the book 2 weeks from now, which is the next update, which, like I previously said in previous videos, I'm trying to get these updates every 2 weeks. So if you want to just wait until then, you can as well. But in the moment, the Patreons will get early access to them. Well, everybody, that's it for this video. If you liked it, please hit like, subscribe to the YouTube channel to be up to date with all the other updates I make to the book, as well as follow me on all the socials linked below. If you want to further support me, head on over to the Patreon and become a patron. Got some pretty good perks at the captain tier. We do some monthly one-shots. Patrons get access to early content with the book, as I stated earlier, with the Schrifts and other stuff like the gravity armament when that was added as well. If you want to hang out with other people and talk about the book as well as myself, head on over to the Bleach 5e Discord. In fact, I believe I'll be having a little get together on there working on some changes for the book. So if you want to be there, talk with me and hang out, feel free to head on over there tonight at 6 p.m. PST. If you have any other questions, concerns about the book, head on over to Discord or put a comment in the video below. Thank you guys so much, and I hope to see you in the next update video.